journeymen and apprentices, and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour. Just an hour today because you had rapping with Rico and former Husker All-American quarterback Steve Taylor on Wednesday. It will be 2 hours, though, the rest of the week, though. And those 2 hours will not include Rico because Rico decides to bail every single day that we have this show. He gets mad. First of all, hello, Rico.
Hello.
There he is.
I'm back
For the first time this week.
I was busy.
He's here for about you were, and I'm not discrediting that. It's just a bit, because I'm not actually angry.
Except for today and tomorrow, you are.
Yeah. Well, angry. I mean, I get to work with Austin. Austin's a cool dude.
Nick said that he would rather 402-464.
Don't mix my words.
402-464-5685. I need your guys' opinions on this because I didn't listen to the show the last 2 days. Nick said he would rather have Austin than me on the show, so I need your guys' opinion. Would you rather have Austin than me with Nick for this hour, for this wonderful, glorious hour?
Hey, as long as I'm the constant, that's all I care about.
Is that what you guys want? You want more Nick and Austin and no Rico?
Well, the good news for all those folks is that me and Austin will have 2 to 4 today.
Yep.
Because I'm filling in for Strick.
And Austin will come in here
at
shortly
1:30
for me.
Yes.
Because I have to go.
Yes. There you go.
There's a volleyball presser today. 1:35. I got to be there.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then tomorrow, there's a volleyball match during the time.
You making your way down to Tampa?
I'm going to try. If they make it, I will see if I'm there.
You're gonna walk to Tampa.
I will walk to Tampa if that's what it comes down to.
If anybody, yeah, exactly, walk to Tampa. If anybody is flying to Tampa and can just put Rico in like the carry-on,
I will put all of your clothes on and I will be your suitcase. Like I will be your carry-on.
Yeah, just stuff Rico in the overhead bin,
please and thank you. I fit.
There you go. We've tried it before. Funny enough,
fit nicely in the overhead bins.
Exactly. Anyway, 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line both open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Got a loaded show for you guys. As usual in this hour, it's going to move quickly. We'll have a little bit of transfer portal talk. We'll talk a little Husker volleyball because Rico is leaving and he won't be on the show tomorrow.
I apologize.
So we will get a little bit of Husker volleyball discussion in today. We'll also talk about it tomorrow while Rico's not here. But then also at 1:30, we're going to be joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, the Rivals site for the Huskers. Talk quarterbacks, talk basketball, because kind of buried in this entire first part of the week, and Nebraska and Marcus Satterfield flying basically around the entire country.
Everywhere.
Right? You have, unfortunately, forgotten that maybe Nebraska basketball starts Big Ten play tonight against the Minnesota Golden Gophers in what you hoped is a get-right game, right? Like, you went out and had a pretty embarrassing performance on Sunday against an in-state rival. Now you go on the road. First true road game. They had that neutral site game up at the Sanford Pentagon against Oregon State back in November, but that was loud.
Yeah, that was
also,
more of a home game.
I would say also much closer to Nebraska than, it is to Corvallis. So this is the first true road game and first Big Ten conference game. And when it all comes down to it towards the end of the season, and you're looking at Big Ten buys for the tournament and for NCAA tournament, obviously Big Ten record maybe matters more than a 7-1 non-conference record to this point. Hole in a boat, I think, is still mad from earlier.
What happened to hole in a boat?
Well, I said earlier that I think I had the whole thing with Red Panda going on.
Oh yeah, you're terrible.
Hole in a boat might have been one of them that got mad about me saying that Texas has a chance to win the national championship.
I mean, they do. It's gross.
Did you watch the Texas-Oklahoma State game?
on Saturday?
I watched a little bit, and I saw Texas score pretty easily, and I was like, I don't need to watch this.
No, Oklahoma State wasn't great,
No.
but there's something
Texas looked really good.
fun about Texas offense.
Washington, Texas is going to be
It's a lot of fun.
disgusting if you
Yes.
like defense.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe, but Hole in a Boat says I'd rather have Rico's takes than Nick's garbage.
Hey, I
There
have
you
good
go.
takes. Good takes
Well,
from Rico.
Just better takes
Nope,
than I
I have
have.
good takes. That's what I'm reading into that.
Yeah.
Rico,
So,
good takes.
IQ Crew says, Nick, stay in your lane.
Big fan of
There
that.
I am. So anyway, once again, the phone number to call and text 402-464-5685. Now, we do need to shout out Canopy Street Market. And Dan from Canopy Street
Look at
Market,
that,
he
everyone.
stopped in. How
Look
about
at
this? So he stopped in, he brought some goodies for us, but then he also brought energy balls.
Gonna need these.
These are delicious,
You're
by
gonna
the
need
way.
these. Your energy's down today.
I'm in a great mood today,
Your
Rico.
energy's been down today.
But nonetheless, huge shout out to Canopy Street Market. Big investor in the student athlete shows.
Yes.
On the ticket here. And so once again, I mean, that's an avenue for you guys. If you want to be involved in the student athlete shows, it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to promise or contribute a lot. Anything that you can. Doesn't have to be every single month, just a little bit extra. There you go. Huge shout out to Dan at Canopy Street Market. Go make sure you give him a visit as well. He brought a lot of other goodies that are for the folks over the age of 21, but the energy balls
They're
are for
everyone.
all ages. And make sure you go grab yourself some. These are some of my favorites. I love these.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, it's so good.
Delicious.
I wish so. 5 come in a container.
I want 10,
I want 15.
12.
There you go.
I need
So-
more.
You need more.
Again, just give me a bigger container. You know the things that like you have like the soup things, like things like this,
Yes.
just the deeper ones. I need that just filled with these
Just fill it with the
balls.
energy balls.
It's
There
got to
you
be one of
go.
those jars where you're like, guess how many jelly beans are in this jar? I want energy. balls.
I need 273 energy balls. Please,
Exactly.
Dan. Please. How about this? Thunder.com says Nick has been poopy pants all day. Rico, time to shine, big fella.
Hey, I'm here for
10
10
more
more
minutes before Rico leaves. Let's talk a little Husker volleyball here before we talk full football, basketball with Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska here. Husker volleyball, number 5 seed Georgia Tech is on the docket tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
1 p.m.
Nebraska taking on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech, one of the better teams in the ACC. But you know they had themselves a pretty smooth ride getting into this regional. I believe they're the ones that beat Florida in 5 sets.
Frankly, Nebraska did as well.
But yeah, Nebraska again. It was the first 2 rounds. A lot of people had a pretty easy route, except for I can't remember who it was down in the South region or in the bottom left region had to play USC. Went to 5 sets or went to 4 sets. That was a tough one. I think it was Pitt actually lost the first set, but that's neither here nor there. Nebraska,
Which,
plays
by the way,
Georgia Tech.
Creighton is out at Pitt.
Yes,
this weekend.
Creighton traveling to Pitt. They're probably not going to make it much further.
Yeah,
they
unfortunate.
play Louisville, I believe. Pitt and Louisville are in the same region, which
Tough.
that sucks. So Nebraska gets Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck, the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Again, it's one of those where Nebraska finished with 6 players on the all-region team, the all-North region team, which ties a record for most since 2016, which coincidentally is the last time that Nebraska hosted regional semifinals and regional finals. So, maybe there's something there with that. And then the winner of this match, because I'm not just going to say that Nebraska's going to win, although Nebraska should take care of business, gets to face the winner of Kentucky and Arkansas, 2 SEC squads. Kentucky, Nebraska played earlier in the season, swept them. And John Cook in the postgame presser for that one said he wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky won the SEC title. They didn't, but again, a much improved SEC squad, a much improved Kentucky squad.
Very different
comes to
from
Nebraska.
very different from when Nebraska and Kentucky played earlier in the season.
A much different Kentucky squad. Their offense has taken a massive leap from then. They're probably the 2 best offensive teams that you're going to see here in the Devaney this weekend. Arkansas a little better defensively. So Nebraska obviously the clear-cut best offensively and defensively. Arkansas probably the best defensive team after Nebraska.
Okay.
Kentucky the best offensive team after Nebraska.
Okay.
Georgia Tech is
Somewhere
unfortunately. I mean, they're the 5
which
seed.
is why they're playing the better team.
But they're the 5 seed. They're the lower seed of the 4. So, but it should be a good match.
Okay, there you go. 1 p.m. ESPN2.
Yes,
For the
back
folks.
on the regular ESPN, not the ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
ESPN-U on Saturday, however.
Okay, so you go from the dose to the U.
Yes.
And then Final Four would be on the dose.
It's the Final Four. So
And then
if
the
they're-
champion. No.
If they're doing what they did last year, which
That's
I think
right.
they are, ESPN, regular ESPN for the semifinal, ESPN 2.
ABC.
Oh, yeah, ABC. Yeah, they moved it to ABC for the championship game.
And you cover volleyball.
I know.
There you go.
It's rough.
So 1 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure you stay tuned. Not only here, I mean, we're gonna have it on inside the studio, and we'll provide updates as soon as we can.
Enrico will walk to Tampa.
And then Rico will be at the Bob Devaney Sports Center, so he'll be able to provide updates on his Twitter. So make sure you shoot him a follow at Radio Rico AC if you have not done so quite yet. Once again, 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the rest of the way here. Let's talk a little football as we get ready for Steve. Only a couple minutes left here in this segment before we get to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. Kyle McCord, right? Like,
I was not expecting this.
Not expecting it, but has been a name that I think the evolution of this offseason, right, has been, all right, Nebraska's going to go out, get a guy that maybe isn't polished, maybe isn't ready to start.
Developmental guy.
Yeah, like a guy that they're going to put some invest some time in for 3 years, 3+ years.
Mm-hmm.
And I am at fault just as much as anybody. I think I read too much into the Matt Rule press conference. The one where he was like, listen, I don't like to go pay guys a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to go get guys that maybe I admit that I read too much into it.
Yeah,
because now we see, and obviously actions are speaking louder than words here. We see them, at the start, go discuss and have conversations with a guy like Sam Levitt, who has multiple years remaining. But then now it's that swing big, either miss big or hit big.
Put on their big boy pants.
And maybe if you're a USC or a Texas or an Alabama, maybe Kyle McCord doesn't do it for you. But you have to understand, and this is kind of the message that Austin and I talked about on Monday and Tuesday while you were gone, Rico, was like, that's a big hit for Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Understand how poor this offense looked and was this season. Yes, there were a ton of injuries across the entire offense. But when you look at if Marcus Satterfield is able to draw Kyle McCord to Nebraska or somebody similar to him,
mm-hmm.
somebody similar
They're up in Pullman
to where they are used to winning, they have experience winning, they have a high football IQ, and more importantly, they don't turn over the football. That's a step in the right direction for Nebraska's offense. Now, I'm not saying Nebraska immediately becomes a Big Ten championship contender, but you wonder, a guy that led an offense to an 11-1 record, led a team, I should say, to an 11-1 record when the offensive line and defense was on a down year for Ohio State, when the whole off-the-field stuff going on with Ryan Day was certainly a distraction. And also, there was a very interesting quote tweet from Trevion Henderson, the starting running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Probably one of the best players on that offense when fully healthy.
And if you remember when Nathan Brennan was here, a one-time Virginia Tech
That's right. Should have been, because he was in Virginia Tech's backyard.
Yeah.
But Trevion Henderson had an interesting quote tweet that said, if people only knew what you had to go through, they would never question your toughness.
What does it mean?
Now, once again, as I just said, I read too much into Matt Rule's press conference.
So we're going to read
We're going to read it too much into this Trevion Henderson quote tweet.
What does it mean?
Because at the end of the day, and this is kind of something I said today on the drive with Raph, like I think there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes at Ohio State,
mm-hmm.
and how maybe Ohio State treated Kyle McCord that then is now a result of what's going on here. Also, there's other conversations that have been had that I think would back me up in that.
Yeah.
And I have confidence saying that. Is that I'm not sure Kyle McCord wants anything to do with Ohio State. There's been a bridge burned between Kyle McCord and Ohio State. And so now you wonder, right? What's the situation? And if Nebraska is able to get a guy of his caliber or close there too,
mm-hmm.
even if it's not Kyle McCord, even if it's not Cam Ward, even if it's not my man DeQuan Finn, somebody that is.
I love how you're throwing him in the conversation with those two.
With two of the best.
I
know. Well, I have to, he's one of the best. But no, even if it's not Will Howard or some flashy name, the fact that they're somewhat aggressive in the transfer portal should somewhat provide confidence to Nebraska fans.
The fact that they're able to have the conversations with these quarterbacks that they can fly into,
and that's the point, man.
Because this isn't, because like you think about it, it's like, oh, they're just talking to him. If I don't know, if
Kyle
Baylor
McCord's
reaches
not letting anybody into the door.
Yeah, if Baylor reaches out to Kyle McCord, he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, come on up and let's come talk about this." No, that's not going to happen. So the fact that you're able to have these conversations, the fact that Satterfield is able to fly to Columbus and talk with Kyle McCord should be a good sign. Again, not a sign that he's going to come to Nebraska, but just a sign that at least Nebraska has the attention, at least Satterfield has the attention of some of the more higher ranked quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I mean, that's a former 5-star. That is a former starter for Ohio State that is allowing Marcus Satterfield to sit in his living room probably. I don't know where they were talking, and talk to him about the potential of being the starter or coming to Lincoln, Nebraska to play for the Huskers.
And here's one thing I would say. Jay illustrated this perfectly yesterday, that when you're talking about some of the top names in the transfer portal, most of the time, and once again, this is from Jay Foreman, who certainly understands the process and what goes on behind the scenes as well as anybody else. He mentioned it, where these top of the caliber guys, the high caliber players, before entering the portal, most of the time, they have a plan in place. They have a couple schools that they have an idea of, all right, I might fit here well. I might fit well here, I should say. I have a prior connection to the staff. I know these guys from another mutual friend. There feels like there's a method to the madness, right? When you're speaking about the higher caliber players, especially at the quarterback position. And that's why we see guys like Riley Leonard immediately be favored towards Notre Dame. Or we saw Jack Shuck.
The no contact thing.
Yeah. Like, and guys will have no contact clauses on their transfer portal entries to where schools can't just instantly talk to them.
Yeah.
And, I already got a plan. I already know who I want to reach out to.
You don't need to talk to me.
And so the fact that Kyle McCord allowed Nebraska into the door meant there's mutual interest.
There's something.
And that's why there's legs to this whole story. Let's take a break. Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska joins us next, or joins me next, as Rico's going to step out, head to volleyball. So Steve and myself will chop it up, talk all things Husker football and basketball ahead of the Huskers match against Minnesota tonight to open up Big Ten play. You're listening to the Happy Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Your Christmas list changes a lot as you get older. Dreams of video games, remote control cars, and baseball gloves turn into dreams of shoes. You know, practical things. Brown Shoe Fit is the king of shoes in Lincoln, with brands like Sorel, UGG, Brooks, Hoka, and more to make you fashionable and comfortable. Grab a new Ridge wallet or buy 3, get 1 free on Smart Wool socks for the ultimate stocking stuffer. And don't forget a reliable gift card for that hard-to-buy person in your life. Brown Shoe Fit at 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service, we call that Potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, expected mainly sunny skies, be breezy at times, but warm. We'll see a high of around 60. Tonight, mainly clear skies expected with a low near 37. And tomorrow, more sunshine and warmth returns. We'll see an afternoon high of around 62. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Become a member of the YMCA today and enjoy access to all 4 Lincoln locations. Free group fitness classes along with member pricing for the whole family on youth programs such as swimming, dance, and basketball. The YMCA even offers free health assessments to kickstart your workout. Start the new year off right as a member of the YMCA and enjoy no initiation fees through the end of the month. For a list of locations and to join, visit ymcalincoln.org. The YMCA, for a better us.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nutrition Authority invites you to try Anarchy, which is an exciting free workout for athletes and fitness enthusiasts who want the most out of their workout. Anarchy can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Remember, when you want results, the solution is simple. Nutrition Authority. Stop in, call, or check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Everybody wants a classic Christmas. Well, there's nothing more classic than cash. So until January 3rd, 2024, enter non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Classic scratch tickets online, and you could win $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000. Hurry and jingle all the way to your nearest Nebraska Lottery retailer and have yourself a classic little Christmas with the whole family of Holiday Classic scratch tickets. Top prize odds vary by game.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman sitting alongside me as well here as we get ready to welcome our good friend Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska with us. What's up, Steve? How's life treating you?
Oh, it's going well so far. Just keeping an eye on things, but yeah, can't complain.
Anything exciting going on in Nebraska's off-season transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, the transfer portal is always going to bring some entertainment, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, it's pretty quiet, honestly, on the Husker transfer portal streets here. But I guess that could change at any moment here.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that before we get to basketball later in the conversation. When you look at Nebraska football and how they're navigating, specifically, I guess the quarterback position through the transfer portal. What are just your preliminary thoughts? Obviously, very early in the process here, but I mean, Satterfield's flying all over the country and visiting not only some guys that maybe have 3 or 4 years remaining, but also some more established and proven winners. I mean, what just your overall thoughts on how Matt Rule and company are kind of handling this search for their next quarterback?
Well, I think you want to do your due diligence if you're Nebraska, if you're Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield, you want to, I guess, knock on all the doors that you can and kind of gauge interest in your program just to see if there's anything there. And I think that's what the staff is doing right now with, if we're, we're following along with Satterfield with the plane tracking season going on here. It's been interesting to watch. But yeah, I think what you want to do, at least in my opinion, is just head around the country, visit some of these guys, see who's interested, see who's not, and then kind of move on and make your decisions. And I think it's early in the process. Obviously the transfer portal is open for a little bit here, so you're going to be seeing names coming all over the place. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot more quarterback names to come out here. So I think Nebraska is just doing their due diligence, as they should. I mean, I think they're visiting some guys with 1 year of eligibility. They're visiting some guys with multiple years of eligibility, just like Matt Rule said. His kind of preferences would be a couple weeks ago when he had his end of season press conference. He said if he's going to bring somebody in, it either needs to be a 1 year instant impact guy, or a younger developmental guy to join the room and kind of develop under Rule throughout the season. So both those options are being vetted right now across the country, and we'll see what comes from it.
We're speaking to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska on the Allo VIP line, brought to you by Allo Fiber. Now, Steve, is there an avenue for Nebraska to bring in multiple guys?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely an avenue, and that goes along with just the vetting process and seeing who's interested and who's willing to come in and fight for a job. Because with those older guys, with the veterans who have one season left, they're not going to want to come into a situation where they have to win the job. They need to be told that they're going to be starting in 2024. So that's where I'm kind of sitting at it right now. And absolutely, taking two would be, I think, an option as well. But of course, for that young guy, you need to tell him that, hey, it might take some while. We're going to develop you. And not everybody's going to go for that, but there's going to be a lot who do, obviously. So I think taking two is absolutely on the table.
Now, I'm curious your thoughts on this. When it's going to kind of be a long form question.
Yeah,
I mean, you and I have had conversations both on air and off air about like Donovan Raiola and the way people kind of changed their mind about him after he was going to initially have the commitment of a Walter Rouse, and Micah Mazuka wanted to come here. And now the offensive line wasn't completely atrocious last year either under his leadership. And we saw kind of the conversation, the narrative around Donovan Raiola change. I'm curious your thoughts on if Marcus Satterfield is able to go out and get a big hitter, whether that's Kyle McCord, whether that's Cam Ward, not that I am confident in the latter of those two. But either way, if Nebraska's able to get a pretty big improvement at the quarterback position, not necessarily on the field, but how much could that change the conversation and thought around Marcus Satterfield off the field as maybe a quarterback coach or as maybe just the leader of this offense?
If I'm just going off of my gut feeling, I'm guessing that a lot of the fans around here would they would see, like, so let's just say hypothetically you get somebody like a Kyle McCord who I would clarify as like a big name.
Yeah, absolutely.
If Kyle McCord would be snatched up by Marcus Satterfield and Matt Rule, my gut is telling me that fans around here would be like, okay, we see that, we congratulate you. However, we are so mad about how the offense was last season that we need to see improvement on the field. And it's not going to matter what you do in the offseason because Nebraska is always doing well in the offseason. But what really matters is what happens during the season. And I don't know, I'm interested to see what you think, Nick. But, to me, it might be really exciting if Nebraska could get a big name, a quote-unquote big name. I mean, the definition of that will change, obviously, depending on who people think is a big name and who isn't a big name. But for me, I think people are so upset about how everything went down offensively in the 2023 season that I think they're going to take in the big name transfer if one happens to come, but they're really going to matter. They're really going to care about what happens in 2024 on the field. Because I just think that people are so sour right now towards Marcus Satterfield that they're going to want to see on-field production immediately in 2024, whether it's realistic or not.
Well, and I think that's completely understandable. I know like the hypothetical situation has been Kyle McCord, especially these last, 12 hours or so, because I think, I think it does have legs. Like I actually know for a fact that there's substance there. And Obviously, conversations have been had. And I was saying this last segment, a guy of Kyle McCord, or even, I mean, if Will Howard, whatever the case may be, the higher profile guys don't just allow every school to be like, hey, we're going to come and meet you. You got to be kind of let in the door, and there's got to be kind of a method to the madness. A lot of the higher profile guys, I think that says something about maybe Nebraska and still the brand that they may have, or more importantly, this coaching staff that can kind of maybe calm Husker fans to an extent when you see, okay, you know what? They're able to go visit a guy like Blake Shapen or Sam Levitt, but then also maybe a higher profile guy that's allowing them in the door to have a conversation like a Kyle McCord.
Yeah, anytime I think that, let's just keep it on Kyle McCord here. If you're Kyle McCord and you have Nebraska visiting you, I mean, I think for somebody like Kyle McCord, you would like to maybe stay in the conference because the Big Ten Conference, obviously a lot of good defenses are in the conference, and you want to put good film on for NFL scouts, and nothing is really better than doing that against SEC and Big Ten defenses. So I think there's a lot of potential for him to want to stay in the Big Ten. Now, there are obviously going to be a lot of other factors unique to each individual, but if you're Kyle McCord, you're going to need to be guaranteed a starting job, obviously, for your next program. And it's just something that I think if Nebraska is coming and talking with you, they're gonna have their pitch. They're gonna say they're gonna have one of the best defenses in the Big Ten, and maybe even the nation next year. And there's you can tout all the young receivers that they have in the program who flashed good things, but still have a lot of development there. And then obviously maybe if they have more plans for snagging a really quality good receiver out of the portal, maybe another running back. You can kind of tout the offensive line and how much progress it made protecting the quarterback wise throughout the season. So there's a lot of good pitches that I think Nebraska can make. It's just can they convince somebody to come over to a program that has seven consecutive losing seasons? They haven't been to a bowl game in 7 years. Blah blah blah, all that stuff. So. It's recruiting is a whole different animal when it comes to these guys in the transfer portal, especially the veterans of 1 year. So it's just going to be really interesting to watch play out.
We're speaking to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska here on the Happy Hour. And Steve, one last one on football before we talk about Nebraska basketball's Big Ten opener tonight. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, and I think this question may have popped up in my head when I saw Princely Uman-Mielen from the Florida Gators enter the portal just a couple hours ago. Obviously, the older brother of Princewell, the freshman on Nebraska, will now going to be sophomore, who had a really nice season in his first year. When you see that, what are some positions that you think Nebraska could search for in the portal on the defensive side of the ball? We know Ty Robinson, and we assume Nash is going to be returning for that front, but other positions, you lose, obviously Quentin Newsome in the secondary. You lose a couple linebackers potentially. We've also seen in years past where, hey, there's some brothers that want to continue playing. Obviously, the Damian and Darian Daniels brothers come to my mind. Is outside linebacker? Where on the defense do you think Nebraska might try to find some pieces in the portal?
Yeah, the top position. Defensively, portal-wise, for me, my mind just goes to inside linebacker and that Mike and Will position specifically. I think they got, for that third linebacker position that Tony White uses, that Jack, I think they have some good young talent that really flashed and kind of stuck, last season with the Princely Uman-Mielen, Makai, Bayer, those type of guys. So I think there's a lot of potential for the Jack linebacker position. But when you look at the inside linebacker position, that's, where Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich have been like for 100 years, it feels like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those two have been the dudes there. And, with both of them, Reimer exhausting his eligibility and Nick Henrich hanging up the cleats and retiring from football, that those are two big holes to fill just because they've been there for so long. They have a lot of production. So inside linebacker is one that I definitely think that the staff might go to the portal and see who's available. And I think I wrote about this at Inside Nebraska yesterday, but I think they have a lot of good pitches that they could use, the coaching staff. You can talk to somebody who's a quality inside linebacker who's made for thumping, kind of a north-south thumper. that would fit well in the Big Ten and maybe, moves well enough for Tony White to like and Rob Dvorak to like. But, you have opportunity for playing time. It doesn't matter how big, tall, I guess speed always matters for these guys, but it doesn't matter how big you are, how tall you are. I think the staff has really shown that they can take somebody and make them work and make it work in this defense. Just look at, Javen Wright and Makai Bayer, two afterthoughts for a lot of people, including me, who, I thought maybe they were transfer candidates in the offseason, but now all of a sudden you have Javen Wright, landing at inside linebacker. He's a 6'5", 225-pound inside linebacker there, and he's kind of used in unique ways, and that was really cool. And then Makai Bayer starting his career out on the inside, but landing as a jack on the edge. So there's a lot of cool things that I think Tony White and Rob Dvorak showed in 2023, and I think they can use that as kind of impressing some linebackers that are looking for an opportunity elsewhere, a change of scenery, more playing time, things like that. And, you don't have to be a clear-cut stud on paper to come and be successful at Nebraska. You can be yourself, do what you do well, and a guy like Tony White and Rob Dvorak, two coaches who I think can see what you do well, and work you into the defense in your own unique way. So I think that's really kind of a advantage for Nebraska in the transfer portal if they're looking for an inside linebacker specifically.
I think it's also interesting. I mean, you think about a guy that may have 2 or 3 years left. Now, I know Tony White only has 2 years remaining on his contract, but Nebraska showed that they're committed to that guy. I mean, they showed through paying him and extending, or giving him a raise that, hey, we're committed to Tony White and we don't expect him to really go anywhere anytime soon unless it's of his own choosing. So I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right on all those fronts. All right, Steve, let's transition to basketball here really quickly. In the next couple minutes, we'll get you out of here. But Nebraska, I think we were both in the building on Sunday, and I think we can both agree that it was a little bit of a disappointing performance for Nebraska. They lose to the in-state rival Creighton on Sunday, and not that many people may have projected Nebraska to win, but this was kind of the first big test for the Huskers and Fred Hoiberg here in a season where at the time they were undefeated, but now their one loss is kind of ugly. And I think a lot of Husker fans may be forgetting that, hey, this is still a 7-1 team that has a lot in front of them.
Yep. Obviously, if you're a Husker fan, you don't want to see what happened on Sunday happen again because, look, I mean, they got their butt whipped, right? I mean, Creighton is really good, and I think a lot of people understand Creighton is good, but I don't think anybody really saw a 29-point defeat coming.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't, but, I think is it a big deal? That's what I keep asking myself. I think it can be a big deal, but I don't think it will be a big deal because obviously everybody wants to beat the in-state rival. It's blue versus red. It's Creighton versus Nebraska. I get it. But in the long run, this is just about the Big Ten schedule, in my opinion. Look, it sucks that Creighton came in there and kicked your butt, but I just think the focus needs to, flush it, move on to Minnesota. The Big Ten season starts tonight, and I think that's where the focus needs to lie. And, am I super worried about a 29-point defeat to Creighton? No, not really. It's early December. This team is still learning about each other, believe it or not. I mean, there's a lot of new faces on this team, and it's just going to take a little bit for these guys to play at their full potential, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, going from Creighton to playing the Minnesota Gophers, that's going to be a big change, really big change. Fred Hoiberg called the Gophers the most physical team, one of the most physical teams in the Big Ten. So it's going to be, I don't expect a ton of threes to be flying tonight, but we will see. It's just going to be a completely different kind of game plan for Nebraska. They're going to be playing. It's going to be a big game, I think, for guys like Rink Mask, Josiah Alec, Juwan Gary, kind of the tougher, bigger dudes in the lineup. They might be on the court a lot together tonight with this Minnesota team that's pretty big and obviously has one of the best scoring bigs in the conference. Guy really moves well with Dawson Garcia at 6'11", 230 pounds. He moves really well. He can shoot the three, even though he's at 28% from behind the arc so far this year. But don't let that guy get hot because he's coming off a career best of 36 points, I believe, in their previous game against Ohio State. So, it's going to be a really important one.
Yeah, and one more thing before we go and let you go. I mean, this is a Minnesota team that, as the 14 seed in the Big Ten tournament last year, knocked out Nebraska in the first round, if I remember correctly, in the conference tournament. One thing I did want to talk about was guard play with Nebraska, because that's a spot that, I mean, I've had conversations with various hosts on our station, and I'm sure you've thought something similar, to where you bring in, some experienced guys like a Bryce Williams, like a Jerron Coleman. And then obviously Sam Hoiberg had some, quite a bit of experience last year. The guard play has been up and down, I think, this season. And maybe it's because of the competition that they played, and you don't want to read too much into Creighton because it was, their first big test, if you will. But it feels like we have yet to see the best of maybe like Bryce Williams and Jerron Coleman as these experienced, calming guards that maybe Nebraska went out and tried to get them to either halt runs or slow down maybe some opponents like Creighton, to where they can kind of just calm and settle everything down, similar to Sam Griesel and Derek Walker last year.
Yeah, and I think maybe, and this is just my opinion, but just watching it from the outside and seeing everything, I think a lot of guys are still trying to find their groove and find what their role is with this team. And I think that might even, be true if you ask like Fred Hoiberg, especially at the guard position. Just look at the change that Jamarcus Lawrence is going through right now about playing off ball his entire life, and then this year being asked to be on ball, the primary ball handler. I mean, that can't be easy. And I think we've seen Jamarcus Lawrence kind of, have some ups and downs this season. And it's not quite been so smooth as everyone may have hoped, but it's a long season. It's early December. There's a lot of basketball to be played, so there's plenty of time to improve. But Jamarcus Lawrence is one that I was maybe hoping to see a little bit more from. But again, it's his first time being an on-ball handler and being the primary guy initiating the offense. And then, CJ Wilcher, he's played in every game this year, but I think his minutes are decreasing. You just need more from him as a veteran guy, I think. I mean, he's struggling a little bit, to say the least, on the defensive end. And then, if you're going to play him, you obviously want to see him knocking down some shots, and he hasn't really done that this year as well. Casey Tominaga, obviously, the rolled ankle might be more important than I initially thought right when it happened against that exhibition against Doane. He hasn't really kind of rounded into form, although he's starting to show a little bit more flashes of it, of his play last year. So, I just think that the roles are still being filled out right now, but it's a long season, and I know fans want wins to come every single opportunity, but it is a long season. It's early December, and there's a lot of opportunities to get better, and we'll see how it all plays out at the end of the year. But I'm not ready to hit the panic button at all after one season, but tonight is definitely a big one, and I think it's going to show us. Minnesota, I think, is a really good test. It's a really kind of even test for Nebraska. They always seem to be, the Gophers do. So tonight's going to be a big one and kind of show us, just like we said on Sunday for Creighton, that's going to be a really big test and kind of show how far this Nebraska basketball team is. I think it's going to be even more truer tonight against Minnesota.
Yeah, we're starting to see, I mean, we've seen it the last couple of games, especially on Sunday, Fred Hoiberg kind of trying out different lineups and different combinations. Because I think there was a time where it was like Jerron Coleman, Juwan Gary, Alec, Hoiberg, and Wilcher on the floor together. And it was like, all right, who's the guy that kind of takes over? And I think it goes right into your point of like figuring out their roles, their specific roles in a certain time. So I think we're starting to try to see Fred Hoiberg playing around a little bit against, authentic and much more like and similar competition to maybe the Huskers. Colin Klein to A&M, rate the move.
Oh, did that just go live?
I think so. Yeah, it's official.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's he's one of the more up and coming, I think, OCs in the game. So,
leaves his alma mater.
It kind of makes a lot of sense. Obviously, with Mike Elko heading over there, he's a really good coach and kind of a developer of both players and coaches, I think. So, solid move from A&M. They're starting to do things right these days.
Well, and they got Colin Klein to leave his alma mater, and so Kansas State was 23rd. I didn't realize this, 23rd in total offense last year under Colin Klein. Obviously, Will Howard is part of that too. But in a year where they lost Deuce Vaughn, they lost a couple pieces on that offense, they were able to still get 23rd in total offense in the Big 12. So not a bad showing from Colin Klein. The A&M Aggies, though, also, I mean, maybe you saw this. They tried to get Mike Denbrock from LSU, and he turned him. He turned him down. So but so they got Colin Klein, though. It lured him away from his alma mater.
I think if you're a Kansas State fan, all eyes are on Avery Johnson right now, and just hoping that
please save the day. Yeah, please save the day. Yeah, it'll be real interesting. All right, Steve, we'll let you go, man. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of transfer portal week, and we'll talk to you next week, my man.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Nick.
There he is, Steve Marik, Inside Nebraska. Appreciate his time as always. Once again, Colin Klein makes the move to the Texas A&M Aggies. So that's kind of something to keep your eyes on as we go forward. Couple guys leaving their alma maters to now new jobs, whether it's Jonathan Smith left his alma mater, Colin Klein leaves Kansas State, where he was a quarterback. I believe he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Is that right, Austin?
He was, in that running.
Heisman Trophy finalist, Colin Klein, back when he played quarterback for the Wildcats and Bill Snyder. All right, let's take our final timeout. When we come back, Austin and I will just kind of cross things over into On the Block. It's going to be me and Austin today for On the Block. Not Strick. Austin and Nick with you from 2 to 4 o'clock today, leading you into Old School with DP and J. So we'll go ahead and take a timeout, and it'll be myself and Austin Norman when we return right here on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
I'm Steve Carper, and I'm here to tell you that there's never been a better time to buy flooring. Whether you need carpet, wood flooring, ceramic tile, vinyl, area rugs, or custom blinds, you gotta come to O Street Carpet. With our 12-month interest-free financing, you can do one room or your whole house and leave your holiday budget intact. And with our huge in-stock selection, you can buy today and we'll install it right away. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Hey, it's Chad with the Nutrition Authority, inviting you to stop in and check out the all-new Complete Post-Workout Recovery, CPR. CPR is ideal for anyone who works out or competes and wants to maximize results. CPR can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today and try a free sample or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, expected mainly sunny skies, be breezy at times, but warm. We'll see a high of around 60. Tonight, mainly clear skies expected with a low near 37. And tomorrow, more sunshine and warmth returns. We'll see an afternoon high of around 62. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Look at me. This plane is going to Jamaica.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We're back here on the Happy Hour one final time before we hand things off to On the Block. But guess what? We're just going to hand it off to ourselves.
Just switching spots.
We're just going to switch spots because me and Austin will be with you guys from 2 to 4 p.m. today. Hello, Austin.
Hey, Nick.
How's life?
How's it going?
How big
Great.
of a game is it for Nebraska basketball tonight?
Pretty big.
Pretty big.
Pretty big.
Very big, actually.
You can't call it a must-win, but it's a must-feel better about yourself.
Yeah,
coming out of tonight.
This is one of those where it's okay. You know what? Maybe the Creighton game we were overmatched, which isn't necessarily a huge surprise, but it was now all right. We bounced back just 2.5 short days later, and here we are. We're gonna win on the road.
It's a big game because of what happened with Creighton. It's also a big game because of what happened with Michigan State last night.
What I missed.
Wisconsin beat them.
Whoa!
And now Michigan State's kind of, I don't use the R word, reeling, but that's kind of the boat they're in.
And you picked Michigan State
to win the conference. I still feel okay about it. Again, it's too early to panic.
Yeah,
but that makes Sunday in Lincoln a big one for them, which makes it that much more important to feel good about yourself going into that one.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We talked about it going into Creighton on Friday, is that
there's an avenue here for Nebraska to be 11-2 going into 2024 and feel really, really good about where you're at as a program in year 4 of Fred Hoiberg, year 5? Year 5 of Fred Hoiberg. I always have to, now that Scott Frost got fired, I always knew that it was a year behind Scott Frost.
Right.
Now that he's fired, I can't use that as a
As a reference
as
anymore.
a reference point anymore. But no, year 5 of Fred Hoiberg, like, hey, there's been staff changes, right? There's been new guys on the block. And now Fred Hoiberg has his most experienced team that he's ever had, and also the most experienced team in the Big Ten Conference. So you feel pretty good about it going 11-2 while they're still trying to figure out roles for everybody.
And that's why losing to Creighton the way they did was so disappointing. You didn't think Nebraska would be outmatched. And I don't think they were. I don't think Nebraska was nearly as outmatched as the score looked.
Yeah.
But they were outmatched in effort, intensity, and just straight up execution. Like Creighton got everything they wanted at all times, partially because they're good, partially because I don't think Nebraska tried much in the first half on defense.
Yeah, which is really disappointing because you talk about like getting juiced up for a game. You shouldn't have to especially that one.
Right.
But we talked about it. I mean, and you could kind of feel it in the arena on Sunday. It didn't feel like Creighton was really that much more motivated than Nebraska. Watching them go through pregame warmups, like they weren't feeding into the crowd or anything. Nebraska certainly wasn't either.
No.
But man, it just felt kind of, it was alive in the crowd and in the stands, kind of dead on the floor altogether, though.
If that game happens at the end of last year, I think the same Hoiberg minutes are elevated and he finds a way to spark Nebraska. But he came in the first half, I think, did some good stuff defensively, at least gave effort, kind of woke them up.
Yeah.
But it turned into just Sam Hoiberg playing defense wasn't enough, so Nebraska needed to have more offensive-minded guys on the floor, which snowballed into the defense being worse. They couldn't keep up on offense.
I'll also say this, and I mean, this is a name that we haven't talked about because he hasn't been able to see the floor for whatever reason. It's Ramel Lloyd Jr., right? Like, this is a guy that, unfortunately enough, was highly touted, rightfully so, coming out of Sierra Canyon, right? Rightfully so. Played with some exceptional, talented teammates out of Sierra Canyon, becomes healthy, right? Is off,
as far as we know.
Yeah, as far as we know, is removed from the availability report, meaning that he's ready to go. He's available to play, and we haven't seen him yet. And Fred Hoiberg talked that he was not on the bench on Sunday, and if that's true, great. Like, whatever the case may be, like we talked about it with Steve and Austin. You and I have talked about it, and I'm sure we'll continue this discussion on the block. Like, guard play needs to improve. Like, you need better play out of your guards. And especially, like, that's what allowed Michigan State last year at times and to be so good was because Tyson Walker is such a steady hand. And it worries me that, like, Nebraska missed part of their opportunity with a guy like Ramel because this was a schedule that was built on, hey, let's give him kind of a runway to where we can slowly increase his minutes. He obviously redshirted last year. He's gotten time in practice. We've seen videos. We've seen footage, right, of him having success in practice. But now you're in the bulk of conference play after the new year. Like, time is running out for your matches against Ryder and Duquesne and Stony Brook. Like, you don't have those anymore.
You got North Dakota and you got South Carolina State after this long stretch, and then it's right back to conference play.
Yeah, and so, you know, here's the thing, and like, and Lemonhead asks about Blaze Keita. He seems to be still progressing. Like, Fred's talked about it, that he's progressing as in terms of getting healthy, but that's also a guy that feels like he could just fizzle. Like,
he's just a guy right now. He's just a guy.
Yeah, which is really disappointing because those two especially are guys that you feel like, hey, Nebraska has some substance there with them where they could do some things and certainly benefit Nebraska, right? Because once Nebraska does get into the bulk of Big Ten Conference play, I'm curious on how a Rink Mass holds up, or Josiah Alec. There were some things that Josiah Alec did on Sunday against some better competition that somewhat alarmed me. Not necessarily, like you say, don't hit the panic button, but falling for every jump fake or shot fake, falling for pass fakes, not keeping his feet on the ground. Like, not only can you commit fouls that way, you can get hurt. Like, if you come down the wrong way, and then we're having this conversation of, all right, what's Nebraska's depth at the big man position look like? Are you going to have to rely on Matar Diop to come in and play an extended period of time.
You sure joke not.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. Like you don't want to be in that situation. And so like you got to be disciplined on defense. And so like that's the first, hit of adversity in terms of wins and losses that Nebraska's been hit with. So now let's see how they recover. And it all starts tonight against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So once again, this has been the Happy Hour. We appreciate Steve Marik for joining us on the show today. If you missed any of the show, check it out at the podcast page, ticketfm.com. But guess what? When we come back, it's going to be me and Austin still for On the Block with Austin and Nick today. No Strick. He's out traveling, I believe.
Yep.
And
He'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he has tomorrow.
Remote tomorrow.
Remote tomorrow.
Yeah. Back on the show.
Excuse me. Yeah, so back on the show on Thursday. And so I just got to fill in for one day. So it'll be Austin and myself. Evan Bland joins us at 2:30. We're going to talk a little Major League Baseball because winter meetings are going on right now. Shohei Ohtani is supposed to make a decision by the end of the week. And then also Major League Baseball draft order was announced.
They hate the Royals.
So at 2:45, we're going to have it in the short segment for all the people that hate baseball, but plenty of transfer portal discussion as well. So stick with us as we come back. It'll be On the Block. Austin and myself. Talk to you guys soon.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a